Good morning, welcome to CATEX TV. My name is Frank Fortunato. Today is Friday, February 1st, 2013. I'm reporting today from Princeton. The past 4 days we've been in London. A Russian rocket carrying a U.S. telecommunications satellite has plunged into the Pacific Ocean moments after it was launched from a mobile sea platform. A source at Energia Corporation, the company that makes the Zenit 3SL rocket, used to launch the Intelsat satellite, told the Agence France Presse this morning that the rocket went down. The Intelsat 27 satellite was to provide services for media, government, and other customers in the Americas and Europe. This will be a claim that will no doubt end up in Lloyd's at London. Yesterday, there was an explosion at the 5-story administrative headquarters of the Mexican national oil company, Petróleos Mexicanos, known by its acronym Pemex. The 5-story building immediately adjoins the 51-story office tower that is iconic in Mexico City as the headquarters for Pemex. 25 people have been killed. People are still thought to be trapped in the rubble, and the Mexicans have been working overnight with brought-in lights searching for any survivors that may be there. Theories ranging for the cause of the blast right now are from an electrical fire to a possible attack of terrorism. It's unknown yet, but there is a significant destruction of the facility itself. Just about several hours ago, a suspected suicide bomber detonated an explosive device at the entrance to the American embassy in the Turkish capital of Ankara. He blew himself up, and he also killed a security guard on the scene. The guard was killed at the gate. It occurred at about 1:15 p.m. According to footage, the bomb appeared to have exploded inside the security checkpoint at the side entrance of the embassy, but did not do any damage to the embassy itself. Turkey is regarded as a relatively safe country in that area of the world. The Insurance Insider is reporting that Risk Management Solutions, RMS, has lost its longtime COO, Rob Bentley. He apparently left his post at the end of last year. The reasons for his departure from the modeling firm are unclear. It's not believed that Bentley had an alternative lined up. RMS is confirming that he left the company and that it was on a mutually agreed and amicable basis. Bentley had formerly worked at Aon Ree and Guy Carpenter. The Wall Street Journal said yesterday that its computer systems have been infiltrated by Chinese hackers who are trying to monitor the newspaper's coverage of China. A spokesman for Dow Jones, the newspaper's publisher, said that the paper completed a network overhaul to bolster security last night, and they said evidence shows that the infiltration efforts to target the monitoring of our newspaper's coverage of China, and they are not an attempt to gain commercial advantage or to misappropriate company information. Meanwhile, the day before, the New York Times reported that Chinese hackers repeatedly penetrated its computer systems and stole the passwords of reporters. The Times said that the hackers are hunting for files on an investigation into wealth amassed by the family of a top Chinese leader. The Times, in fact, has been running a series of front-page reports over the past 2 months on the Chinese Prime Minister and his family, who are now worth well over $1 billion. China's foreign minister dismissed the New York Times accusation as groundless and totally irresponsible. Meanwhile, in China itself, an elevated portion of a highway in the central part of the country collapsed this morning after a truck loaded with fireworks bound for Lunar New Year celebrations exploded. Killed at least 9 people and sent about 25 cars plummeting about 100 feet to the ground. According to reports that we've seen as well as photos, a 260-foot long stretch of a major east-west highway collapsed completely in Mianchi County in Henan Province. Marsh McLennan CEO Dan Glazer, head of the largest insurance broker by market value, said taxpayers may be facing a larger burden in the future as natural disasters continue to do more damage in developed areas. He said, quote, "There's a collision course between essentially, call it an environmental system, and a financial system. An increase in natural disasters tests the resiliency of governments because ultimately they're expected to respond to catastrophes, and they're doing it with debt and not with actual reserving. Glazer is pushing for insurance to play a larger role in setting aside funds for disasters and force businesses and individuals to pay the price for developing in vulnerable areas. He said, and this really is very telling actually, this is why he wants them to take responsibility rather than have the government bail them out. He said, guaranteed over the next 5 years, you will see the rebuilding of the homes that were destroyed in Sandy in the locations in which they were destroyed. That happens all over the world after each disaster. He's exactly right. Britain staying in the European Union is critical to the future of Lloyd's of London. This is according to CEO of Lloyd's, Richard Ward. He spoke at an event in London yesterday. He told market delegates that leaving the EU would mean Lloyd's would have to negotiate with each European country to access their markets. He said for Lloyd's, it's of critical importance to remain in the single market. The EU accounts for 18% of our business, and if we leave the single market, we'll be renegotiating with every single European country about access, and that's certainly not in our best interest. Of course, Prime Minister Cameron pledged last week to hold a referendum on whether Britain should remain in the EU. And here's a story I was happy to read this morning and not yesterday morning before I boarded a flight home. The first officer of an Alaskan Airlines flight from Los Angeles to Seattle last night diverted the plane to Portland, Oregon after the pilot passed out, lost consciousness. Flight 473 landed at about 9 p.m. in Portland, Oregon. It's not known what caused the pilot, who had been flying for 28 years, to lose consciousness. There was a doctor on the plane. He tended to him after he became ill. He was apparently carried off the plane still unconscious. The first officer who landed the 737-700 had been with Alaska Air for 11 years. All 116 passengers on board, of course, were safe and placed on other flights to Seattle. Well, this Sunday is the Super Bowl, and it will finally be the end of the National Football League season. The Baltimore Ravens will be playing the San Francisco 49ers in New Orleans. That's the news for today. If we have any breaking news, we'll come back and tell you. Have a good weekend, and we'll see you.